Okay, hey everyone. This is kind of a funky one. I have created everything on a single stand a la Caleb from DSLR Video Shooter. I'm going to link to his channel below because everyone is basically just stealing his amazing ideas. So I wanted to create my own for this space, except I'm doing a few tweaks. I'm going to use a single stand, adding a light, adding a camera, but instead of a typical boom arm, I'm using my 3DIO mic. And so that's going to help me create just this binaural ASMR type audio using a setup, making it quick and easy for me to create that style of content in this space right here. And so let's do a little tour in the little build. Okay, I'm using an impact stand on wheels. And on the stand, I'm going to get ready to start doing the build. So it is sitting right there. I'm using a Godox LED panel, but you can really use any panels. I just wanted to mention on the back, it uses the Sony NPF batteries. There, I am struggling to put it on, but really any LED panel works. It's super bright. I think that's the lowest possible setting. So this panel is going to give me the kind of lighting I need regardless of which direction it's pointed. And I'm going to just mount it onto that little spigot at the top. And there's a little set screw that you tighten it down and it holds it in place. So everything's battery powered, so I can move things around. And I'm going to be grabbing what is a Manfrotto super clamp. And these things are awesome. They can expand up and grab on. I have that 2-inch pipe on the side over there that I clamp a lot of things on. But in this case, I'm going to clamp it onto my stand. And this little space over here is going to be holding that Manfrotto clamp. And from that clamp, what I'm using is an impact spigot. So it's about 6 inches. It extends it out. There's the little spigot, looks like a pipe at the end. You're going to be able to put different things in it. In this case, I have a ball head tripod adapter that's going to go on top. I am just unscrewing that now. You got to unscrew it quite a bit. Once you get that screw all the way out, the brass component will go all the way in, and then you can dial that down, tighten it up really tight, and it is fairly secure. There's my GH5 Mark II, and I like this one because it has the flippy out screen. I can one day probably mount my Ninja 5 just as a monitor if I needed to, but in this case, I'm using my GH5 II on there. Now I have it in the wrong position, so I'm unscrewing the clamp, and I'm going to put it down a little bit lower because I'm going to want the mic to be above the camera. And see, I can dial it down, tighten it really tight, and that thing is pretty secure. It's not going anywhere. I probably should be putting some sandbags on this this little stand so it doesn't tip over. So now I'm clamping number 2 Manfrotto super clamp, and that clamp is going to receive yet another spigot. And that spigot at the end is going to have and receive my 3DIO mic, which I'll show just in a little bit. It takes a little bit of time to just really clamp this down, but once you tighten it down, it's pretty tight. So here's my 3DIO binaural mic. It's got 2 silicon ears, creepy and weird looking, but an awesome mic. It records the 2 channels left and right, and in post you'll adjust that. And so again, with the super clamp, you can kind of rotate, move things around. In this case, I want the mic to be close to the camera to kind of simulate eye level and ear level. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll be close enough. I don't think most people can tell. I'm using a MixPre 3. That's the Mark II version, I think. This is a 32-bit float recorder, and I'm using number 3 Manfrotto super clamps. I swear I should be getting a deal with Manfrotto for the amount of clamps I'm using on this project. But again, I'm tightening it down there at the bottom. And then to that spigot, I have a 1/4 twin. It goes to the MixPre 3. And then I'm going to just dial that down. And so the cool thing is it gets the recorder all in one station here. I used to have the recorder in an audio bag, but I like it in this format. I'm going to use 2 XLR cables, again, from that left and right to that mic. And so I'm going to be plugging into 2 separate channels. The MixPre 3 has 3 XLR inputs. I'm going to be using 2, one for the left and one for the right of the ear. I'm less concerned right now in making sure the panning is correct. I'm just going to record 2 audio files And when I put my video into Final Cut Pro, I will then adjust the panning left and right to kind of create that binaural effect. XLR cable's a little, at least I don't use it very much. And so for me, it takes a little bit of fumbling around, making sure I get my left and right just organized. Generally, I want to be able to recognize which one's which. So again, it's going to go input into the 3DIO mic. This mic is powered with phantom power, so it's bringing 48 volt phantom power into the mic. I believe it's volts, but correct me if I'm wrong. Not important for me, but again, so the Mix Pre 3 is providing power to the mic, and then I'm recording in two separate audio tracks. I'm recording in two separate, one for video and one for audio, and I'll sync in post. So just remember, do the little clap to sync. At the back, now I'm attaching, I think that's just a small rig mini clamp. So it clamps onto, again, in that column there. And I have a small rig battery bank clip. So I'm just using an Anchor, I think it's like 20,000 milliamp battery bank. And I'm going to use that just to power the camera, because my camera can be powered by power delivery, and so with USB-C. That is the general setup. So that's the build. That was pretty easy. I think I used quite a bit of these Manfrotto super clamps and these little spigots. I got one right here. They're just these, they're made by Impact. They go into your super clamp, and then you can put a little spigot. And what these what these spigots do is it has one of these, looks like brass maybe. There's a 3/8 or a 1/4-20 mount, and you kind of attach this to whatever you're doing. This goes into here, and there's a little screw, a little set screw essentially that will set it in and tighten it down. So this goes all the way in, and you tighten this down, and now this whole thing is one solid unit, and you can mount on your mic. You can mount on, in this case, I have my camera on a bowl head. I have the 3DIO mic, and I have my Mix Pre 3 set up into the C-stand. So a lot of rigging, clamping parts. And so that's the general gist of the setup. Now let's flip it over and let's see what kind of content I can make out of that. So let's put on our headphones to make sure you get the best audio experience there. Okay, and now I am recording with my 3DIO mic and my GH5. This is now going to get synced in post, and so if you're wearing headphones, you should be able to hear this left and right. So I'm going to click over here. This should represent your left, and this should represent your right. So as I move around the space, you should be able to hear different things. I'm going to just move, since this whole station is on C-stand, I'm going to move around a little bit so you can see. We're also going to test the GH5 face tracking. I think it's not going to be as good, but the benefit of this is it looks like my ISO is in a reasonable spot because I have this additional light coming in. I got my little backlight over there for other purposes right now. So let me know what you think. I'm going to move around a little bit. Something just to test out the function of the mic. And let's get, ooh, I love the lighter one. This is in front. Again, I think, is this overkill? Yes. I have the technology, I have the equipment, so I plan on just using it because I have it. But the reason I got this set up is because I wanted to get into more of interesting ways of creating content that's not so traditional. And the other thing I wanted to share is I don't have this hooked up to the GH5 because it's a manual focus lens. This is a Vazen 28mm anamorphic lens combined with this 3DIO. It kind of creates a very unique look because you'll have this CinemaScope stretched out view along with 3D audio, just trying to create some distinction in the marketplace. So hey, thanks for joining me. Like and subscribe. I really appreciate everyone that's joining into this community. Leave a comment below. I'm responding to everyone if you have any questions about the setup. Otherwise, big shout out to Caleb from DSLR Video Shooter for inspiring this work, and I will see you in the next one.